There we go. Hopefully, I got this finally working. You know, sometimes you sit here for the longest time and everything looks like it's going great. And then right before you hit the go live button, plot twist. Hi, everybody. How's everyone doing today? I hope our people on the East Coast are not blowing away today. But I've got somebody so special with me here today, and I would like to know. So here's my question for you: who introduced you to pickleball? Put their name into the chat if you would please. Who introduced you to pickleball? Now, my name is CJ Johnson. My background is in the golf industry, and several years ago I started coaching pickleball and got the Better Pickleball channel going, and we focus on helping players who are over 50 live their best lives on and off the courts. And the reason I asked you who is the person who introduced you to pickleball is because today I have the person who introduced me to pickleball. Not only did she's the reason that you're stuck with me, but she is a prolific author. She has been on my website multiple times with great articles. She's been doing this for our club for a long time. And during COVID, she wrote a book. In fact, I'm going to grab it here just to show you. She wrote a book, Pickleball, the Bitchin Kitchen. I hope I don't get nailed by YouTube for that one. And Dinks for all. I know that she said she was having a little issue with Amazon because of that name. So yeah, but we're going to bring her on in just a second. In the meantime, I really want to know who introduced you to pickleball. So put their names in the chat. Let's see who. I'm going over to the chat. Hello, Ed Scott from Little Rock. How are you doing today? Let's see. We have Greenfield Way. How are you? Murphy, California. Yeah, it's warm in Murphy. I've got Rob coming in from, hi Rob, how are you? He is in Clarkstown. Power outages. I know our lovely chat moderator, Dale Cassell, who's in the chat all the time. Thank you so much again for being here, Dale. She is on the East Coast. And so hopefully, she said she's had power outages and all sorts of things happening around her. So hopefully she can get through this whole thing. But before I get started and I bring Bev on, just a couple of reminders. We have some lives coming your way. I have the guests almost set in stone. Some of this is because we just, we're living in a COVID world and everything is a little bit different. But the next live will be Tuesday, September 1st. And then the next one after that is Tuesday, October 6th. So it's always the first Tuesday of the month. If you want to make sure that you know about those, you can hit the subscribe button, which is below here, or Dale is going to put a link up in the chat. It's for one of my most popular giveaways. It's 31 tips to play better pickleball. And if you do that, you'll get connected to my newsletter, and that way you'll never miss out on the information. This Saturday, I have a special video coming your way. It's a regular on-demand video, but it's coming out Saturday, August 8th. So many of you have been asking me about, is it safe to play pickleball? What do we have to do to play pickleball? I have intentionally not answered that because I'm a pickleball coach and I coach a lot of different sports, but that's not my expertise. But I've got somebody, Dr. Sarah Webb, who wrote the guidelines for the Seattle Park and Recreation Department. She wrote the Return to Pickleball Safe Guidelines. Is going to, we shot the video this morning. That'll be going live this Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to spread that news just a little bit, and I am going to say there's some things that she talks about that maybe you have not heard. So make sure you come back in. All right, let's see. We got Bob. Hi, Bob. Oh, John Sloan. Yes. Oh, please say hi to John. I hope he's here. I heard Bev on the other end. You probably can't hear her yet, but yes, I think John Sloan may be one of the people who introduced her to pickleball.
That's right.
Exactly. So with that, I'm going to bring in my buddy here. There we go. Here's my buddy. This is Bev Kiel. Hi, Bev.
Hi, CJ.
Thank you for joining
Hi,
us.
everyone. Great to see you. Great to talk to you. And hi, everyone else out there.
So, Bev, I just told everybody you're the reason that they're stuck with me. Um, and thank you so much for introducing me to pickleball. I really appreciate it. But why don't you tell everybody about you? Maybe a little bit about what you did before pickleball, and then how you got introduced to pickleball.
Sure. Sure. Well, most of my adult life, I pursued a career. It was challenging and exciting and successful, but it kept me on the East Coast and it kept me in the office from dawn to dusk most days. So now I'm living my retirement dream in the mountains of Lake Tahoe, in the deserts of Las Vegas. I'm outdoors every day and life is great, except for COVID. Life is great. So I spend some time outdoors every single day now and pursuing sports, golf, kayaking. And about 8 years ago, when I was in Las Vegas, John Sloan introduced me to pickleball, introduced Doug and me to pickleball. We loved it immediately. I thought, this is something I can get good enough at. I think it, plays to some of my strengths, hand-eye coordination and such. So we played for a while in pickleball and then in Vegas. And then when we came back to Tahoe, we missed it so much that we talked the local rec center into putting lines on a court and let us play. And now we have 8 courts here and plenty of players who come to drop in every day, 7 days a week. So pickleball is a big part of our life now.
I have to tell you, because I do. Not only did she bring me into pickleball, she's brought so many people into pickleball. But we would not have the beautiful facility, and you see that facility all the time on the videos, because that's where I shoot the majority of the videos. We would not have this beautiful facility if it wasn't for Bev and her husband Doug. So we really think they pushed the game here and got it started. And why don't you tell everybody? Because I know there's always questions. We're going to get into the book, but we always have a lot of questions about how do you get a club started. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you did to get things going here?
Sure. Well, this was about 8 years ago, and when we came back to Tahoe, I think we only knew 2 or 3 people who played pickleball, so we had to recruit people to come and try it. And as long as they could walk and hopefully chew gum at the same time, we got them out there. Doug was the best at it. I took care of the behind the scenes things. Doug, he recruited everyone in the supermarket, at the dentist office, the mailman, the FedEx delivery guy. He just went after everyone, begging them to come out and try the sports so we would at least have 4 to 6 players show up. And, it's addictive. It's slowly spread. It's slowly built. Our momentum was interrupted by winters when we couldn't play and we had to wait until spring and get out there again. But it builds by word of mouth and making it as much fun and welcoming for players at all levels. So I think that's the key.
Yeah. And like I said, they have really...
And I remember going, in those days, I remember going by the tennis center and there was CJ with the ball machine, hitting tennis balls, whacking away every afternoon when we went by checking to see if anyone would play pickleball. And that's how we finally dragged her onto the pickleball court. And we built a monster, created a monster here.
Yes, you did. That was my thing. I didn't play a lot of tennis, but I hit against the ball machine because it was such a good workout. But it was all by myself.
Not anymore.
No, exactly. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about, how this book came about, and really who is the book for?
Sure. Well, from the beginning, when I learned pickleball in Vegas, I volunteered to create a newsletter for our Siena Pickleball Club there. And I produced a monthly newsletter that I thought would make people engaged in the sport because it was a lot of tongue-in-cheek tips and quips and rule review. and it was very popular. And then when we started pickleball in Incline Village, I did a weekly e-blast form of a newsletter. And so many people over these years have told me how much they enjoy my writing style, how much they enjoy the material I put in the newsletters. I use fun and memorable, I think, images to describe skills and rules. And so here we are, March this year. Our pickleball courts are closed down. We're stuck in Vegas with no restaurants or bars open. I can't see my friends. All I can do is take long walks by myself. So I decided, hey, what about all that writing I like to do and all that feedback about how people enjoy reading it? I think it's time for a book. So within about 6 weeks, I developed the pickleball book. And that's the story. Who's the book for? It's really for anyone who plays pickleball. I talk about the Bell distribution, a normal distribution and statistics of most things. And you have maybe a small percentage, 10% of people on one end of the distribution that come out and try pickleball once or twice. They don't get it, they don't stick with it, or they basically just lack coordination. And we don't see them very often. Then on the other end of the bell curve, we might have 10% of the people who are just get adopted so voraciously, they pursue medals and prize money and make a business out of it, CJ. And, they really outpass the rest of us who are there just to get exercise, have fun, enjoy each other's company. So all of us in the middle, the 80% of people who play pickleball or want to play pickleball, this book's for you.
And just so everyone knows, and I think you probably do, Bev has, I've featured Bev's articles on my blog since she started writing for our club, right? And so I know that some of you asked questions about how do you put a club together. Well, she told you a little bit about that. But the other thing is she didn't really tell you about the weekly newsletter that she sends out that not only talks about what's happening in our pickleball club or arena, but she also started with these little quips and just, talking about the game, and they were funny and engaging, and people gravitated towards her. So the book is kind of a natural selection of that. So by the way, I forgot to say this, and I'm sorry. If you have a question, please make sure you put the word question or a Q in front of it so that Dale knows that it's a question. And feel free to ask Bev any questions that you would like. But Bev, let's talk a little bit about the book. So one of the things is these bite-sized pieces, right? Was that intentional when you did that, and how did that all come about?
Absolutely. I always believe that people learn best in bite-sized chunks. I did management training, and I've taught at the college level a little bit, never my full-time professions, but enough to see attention spans and how people adapt new skills and learn and actually use them. Over the years, I've gone to several tennis camps, I've gone to golf camps, I've gone to a pickleball camp where 2 or 3 days in a row, you go from one subject to the next, one right after the other, and it's just kind of overwhelming. It's too much all at once. Yes, you pick up a few skills, but you don't have time to really understand, develop, and own those new skills. So back to pickleball, that's how I thought people should learn about pickleball. Subject at a time, a skill at a time, little pieces of fun information, let them adapt to it and adopt it at their own pace. And it's much more fun to read that way. So if someone's going to read a book, I think short chapters of fun, lively writing and single subjects works.
I would definitely agree with you. So we're going to dive into the book in just a second. We've got 4 sections in the book that we're going to kind of talk about. I think Bev did a fantastic job of laying this out. But we do have a couple questions coming in. So I'm going to throw one at you for the first one. So Greenfield Way said our pickleball club, so far it's just a WhatsApp group, keeps getting bigger. How can we levels of play? How can we levels of play? I'm not really sure. Do you know what he's asking? Or she's asking? I don't know if this is a lady or a gentleman.
Well,
Um,
I have a thought. I think you're talking about it's a natural progression. When pickleball was newer 8 years ago when we started, everyone was pretty much at the same skill level. We were all starting out. As time passes and some players take it very seriously and do drills and practice, they get better, then they want to play with better players. We have the same issue in our club here right now. The better players want to play with the better players. There are only so many courts. How do you divide the time and attention for people? And how do you do that without losing the social aspects that are so much a part of pickleball? And I'm listed in the USA Pickleball Association places to play as the contact for Incline Village. And years ago, people would call and they just say, I'm going to be in your area. I want to play. Please tell me there's somewhere I can play pickleball. Now, when you get those calls, people want to know how many courts do you have? What's the surface of the court? How many 4-0 players do you have? How many 3-5 players do you have? What's the weather like? And I mean, it's just, they've gotten so picky. And it is taking a little bit away from the fun, friendliness, and social aspects of pickleball in some clubs. But I see it as just a natural evolution. You can't keep everyone down on the farm forever.
and she modified that question, and I'm going to before we go further and get a little bit into the book, because I think you have some ideas on this as well, is so with the club getting bigger, how do you handle the levels of play diplomatically? How do you start the discussion? Because I know that's one of the things that you've been involved in as well, and you kind of talked about that just a little bit. Can you expand on that a little bit more, Bev?
Well, I think you put someone who's an advocate for the players that are, in our golf courses here, we have two clubs, the slobs and the snobs. I see that almost, see pickleball heading that way a little bit. The snobs are the ones that don't want to play down, and the slobs are the rest of us that are just there having a good time. And you need to put someone in charge of the snobs group and make it work for them, make drop-in playtime work for them with their own maybe paddle box rotation or timed plays, and same with everyone else. The problem is the people in the middle get squeezed out a little. The players that are better than average but not quite up to the highly competitive level end up without anyone taking care of them or watching over them. So when we get back to the normal world and we're not in COVID isolation, have some events that deliberately mix people. I'm thinking that the next event I'll have when I'm allowed to have a tournament, a round robin fun tournament, is I will pair people so that someone who's the highest level player in our club will play with a middle or average player. And I'll make all these teams be kind of Lady and the Tramp or Slob and Snob teams, and they'll compete against each other. And I bet they'll have a great time doing it. So you just need to come up with ways to mix people. Put some people who are great players in charge of teaching others as well, providing some free demos or whatever. Just a couple thoughts.
Those are great suggestions. Okay, those are fantastic suggestions. And Bev has done some round robins, and the way she's mixed them up and has gotten very creative with them has created connections for people who may not otherwise spend a lot of time on the courts together. So hopefully we got that answered. Okay, let's go back to the book. So you broke the book into 4 sections. So why don't you kind of give us an overview of the book and tell us about those 4 sections.
Sure. Well, I see them as the natural progression of how you learn and get better at pickleball. There's a getting started section, which gives relatively new players kind of everything they need to know before they start showing up at drop-in play times. gives you a little bit of information about equipment, a little bit of history, but very brief on that. You know, you just have to know how to deliver a serve, where to stand on the court, and a few basic things before you start showing up, and other people will quickly invite you into the game. So the second part is I call into the game, and that's playing tips and getting better and developing skills and knowing strategies and how to work with a partner. The third section is the next level of play, a few more subtleties that build on the basic skills you develop in section 2. And then just to wrap up with playing well and staying well. I'm big on, as CJ is, on fitness and on taking care of yourself. It really bothers me when people come out on the court without a hat on or a visor. We live at high elevations. The sun is very strong. Skin cancer kills more people than a combination of other cancers. And it's so easy to protect yourself. Same with sunscreen, same with sunglasses. People get hit with pickleballs, and it's usually accidental, maybe not always. It actually can be part of your game as long as you're hitting at the feet or mid-body, but people get hit in the face, and I don't want to see people injured. So it's a little bit of taking care of yourself during play so you can play for your rest of your life. There's no limits. We have people well into their 80s playing pickleball, and they play against much younger players, and they hold their own because the variety of skills make you competitive in pickleball.
Absolutely. That is one of the fantastic things about the game. So let's give people a little peek into the book, okay? And we'll start like at the beginning, because I want to start with one of the most popular, I think it's the second most popular video on my YouTube channel, is about scoring. And I'm the first to admit, and I admit it in the video, I had a heck of a time learning how to keep score. And you came up with this unique way to help to remind me, and I know you've taught that to millions of people, or hundreds of people on the court, and via this video, hundreds of thousands of people through the video. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that section?
Sure. Well, yeah, people are intimidated by the score protocol, and I tell new players, first of all, it's not important. That's not the first thing you need to learn, but you do need to learn it eventually. And the way I remember what order those 3 numbers go in is by saying me, you, who, or me, you, who, me, you, who. So the first number is me. What's my score, my team score? Second number, you. What you, the other guys, what's your team score? And then the third number is who am I? Number 1 or number 2. So me, you, who, my score, your score, who am I, the first or second server. I think it's pretty easy and easy to remember that way.
And I would say it definitely helped me. So, although sometimes I still get a lot. I still get lost. Okay, so
well, knowing the order to say it, knowing the order to say the score, the numbers, is not the hard part. The hard part is, what is it? Trying remembering what the score is, and agreeing, having 4 people on the court agree with the same score.
Yeah, or having a long point, and then at the end of it turning around and all 4 of you, right. Nobody knows whose turn it is to serve.
Right. It happens.
It does. It does. So when we went through and we kind of looked back at the book and picked out certain sections. So what's something that you wish you knew, that everybody knew, when it came to the pickleball courts?
Sure. Well, I think there's 3 really important things, and it's not that people don't know them as much as they don't do them. They don't remember to do them. The first is communication, and I call it chatter matters. It's really important to communicate with your partner. I know when I'm in a game with someone who constantly calls balls, yours, mine, or calls direction, up, back, we have a much stronger game, and we make a much stronger team. I'm not the best at communicating. I'm quiet and shy, and I don't like to bug people. But I've learned to be a little more vocal on the pickleball court, and I'm still working at it. Communicating with your partner is worth several points in a game. It's just really important. The second thing is hitting out balls. You can watch any game and see how many times players at all skill levels hit balls that are going out. I don't know what it takes for us to learn to hold back and let those balls go. But that, again, is 3 or 4 points in every game that you could have had if you let the ball go. And when you hit a ball that's going out, of course,